Okay, so as we've discussed, natural selection depends on three laws of nature. Law of variation, that is that all organisms of a species are different from one another. It depends on the law of struggle, which is that in all environments, survival is not guaranteed, and organisms must struggle against other organisms, the environment, and other aspects to survive and reproduce. And finally, inheritance, the idea that organisms will pass their traits from parents on to offspring. Now, if we want to see the effect of these things and how they interact to lead to natural selection, as Charles Darwin hypothesized, we need to do a demonstration. We need to do a simulation. Scientists do this kind of thing all the time. They make models when things are either too small or too slow for them to observe. And because this is a slow process that takes place over many, many generations, we're going to do a simulation here that'll make it proceed a little faster so we can see what kind of changes happen when these three laws of nature, variation, struggle, and inheritance, interact to drive natural selection. And so in our simulation here that I have set up before your very eyes, we have a species of organism called Betis plasticus, which, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, are these three different types of plastic bead. Now, these are all members of the same species, and so they vary in color, and you can see also they vary a little bit in shape. The white beads are a little bit different than the gray and the black and the blue beads. So we have blue, gray, and white beads, and those beads are a population of Betis plasticus, and in each of these piles there are 15 beads. And so I'm going to take these 15 beads, now 45 beads, 15 of each, and put them in this environment here. And that is where the Betis plastici live out their lives. And so once I get them all in there, this is taking a little longer than I expected, we'll be ready to go. Now, the Betis plasticus lives in this environment, and this environment, they are the prey of a vicious predator. The vicious predator is being played here. Normally it's played by one of my students, but today it's being played by my daughter Lily. So Lily is a vicious predator who thrives on Betis plasticus, and she gets Betis plasticus using her jaws of death. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to give Lily and her jaws of death 30 seconds to pick up as many beads as she can out of that, from among the rocks. Let's say if she wants to survive, she needs to get at least 10 beads during that 30 seconds. And let me get my watch ready. And so, Lily, are you ready? Okay. On your mark, get set, go. And stop. Okay, so she managed to get a bunch of beads. So Lily, can you tell me how many beads did you get there? So in your notes, I'd like you to keep track of what's happening here. So how many blue beads did you get?
8.
She got 8 blue beads. So I'm going to subtract 8 blue beads from the pile. So that means there are left behind 7 blue beads. How many gray beads did you get?
5.
She got 5 gray beads, so that means there are 10 gray beads left. And how many white beads did you get?
0.
0 white beads. So there are 15 white beads left. Now, before we can continue, what we need to do is we need to allow Betis plasticus an opportunity to reproduce. So the ones that she took out are ones that cannot reproduce anymore. But the ones that are remaining behind, the 7 blue beads, 10 gray beads, and 15 white beads that remain in the rocks, let's say they can reproduce. And we'll say that just as a simple way of representing reproduction, for every 2 beads that are left of a particular color, we'll put 1 bead back of that color. So for the blue beads, how many blue beads should we put back? So there are 7 remaining, and so we should put 3 back. And that means at the beginning of the next round, there will be 10 blue beads. Okay? We should put back 5 gray beads. And so there will be 15 gray beads. And we will put back 7 white beads. And so there will be 22 white beads. So that's how many beads there are now in the next generation. Here, let's put those aside so they don't confuse us. All right, and so now we're going to do this again and see what happens. All right, so I'll reset my stopwatch here. All right, Lily, ready, set, go. This time you got to get 14 beads. And stop. This one fell off too. Okay. Now, what did you get this time?
I got
So we're going to do the same thing we did before. So how many blue beads did you get?
5.
So she got 5 blue beads. That takes us down to 5 blue beads. How many gray beads did you get?
4.
4. That takes us down to 11 gray beads. And how many white beads did you get?
5.
5. That takes us down to 17 white beads. Okay, so what do we add back? So we'll add 2 blue beads. We will add 5 gray beads, and we will add 8 white beads. So at the beginning of the next generation, we will have 7, 16, and 25. Okay, we'll do one more round here as soon as I get my watch set. Okay, ready, Lily? On your mark, get set, go! Stop. Oh boy, what happened here? What did you get?
I got 2 blue
She got 2 blue,
and 4 gray,
so minus 2 blue, 4 gray,
and then 8 white.
8 white. So that means we're down to 5, 12, and 17. And so we're not going to do another round, so that's it. So just let's see what we would add back, though, before we start the next one. 5, we'd add 2 back. We would add 6 back, and we would add 8 back. And so at the beginning of the next round, we would have 7, 14, and 25 at the beginning of the next round. Okay, and so that is... So please get this data into your notebook here, and we can talk about, I'd like you guys to think a little bit about what changed as this process went on, and I'll have you answer some questions in the Jaws of Death assignment, which is on Google Classroom. So thank you, Lily, and there's the data. Good luck.